Hello, it's Nay, Uplifting Others. And make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. So, I want to talk about the justice system, sex offenders versus victims. I love to do my research on certain topics just so that I could be correct with things and to really know. But I couldn't really find anything I couldn't find much. Of course, they show like cases and all that other stuff. But me personally, you watch stuff or you hear things. So I know, I know stuff. Like, I'm not saying I know everything, but I know the basics of how sex offenders are treated and how victims are treated. So let's get right into it. Of course, I have notes, of course. So the sex offender can sometimes get less time than they get less time than they deserve. I'm just going to say that because I feel like they do. If you're taking it doesn't matter if you're taking their innocence or you're taking something from someone that's precious and they're going to be traumatized most of the time for the rest of their lives. You're taking a big chunk of their life. And sometimes people get 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but they're taking something from someone that person will never get back. And they of course, I have videos like the aftermath of sexual abuse where people are having flashbacks. They can't even function like a normal person. They're withdrawn and they sometimes turn to drugs and alcohol. So I feel like they get less time than they deserve. It's harder for people to believe the victim due to their sexual orientation, lifestyle, and their physique. Meaning, like, if someone is, I want to use this as an example, it's different. Okay, if a male rapes another male, and their sexual orientation is them being gay, the victim being gay, and it's like red flags go off in someone's head about like, well, I mean, you are this way, so you didn't like that, you didn't want that, or if that person is built like differently or whatever the case is like, well, you're not even that attractive, so why would someone do that to you? Or if they're living I'm going to just say fast life, that can be looked at as, so the questions come about, like a million questions come at the victim, like they're the ones at fault, and it's their fault that this has happened to them, which is not. It's never the victim's fault. What else notes did I have? Yeah, so I have notes on my phone and in my notebook. Like I said, victims are treated like it's their fault. And sometimes they're questioned and talked down on, like what was you wearing? Were you flirting? Was you doing this and this and that? Like, questions are irrelevant. They're irrelevant. And it's not even questions that shouldn't be asked to a victim, because when those questions are asked and the victim's head is like, it's my fault that this has happened to me. If I wasn't this way, it wouldn't have happened. If I was that way, it's so many things that play a role in how a victim is treated compared to a sex offender is treated in most cases. Sometimes the offender can find ways to make the victim back down with money, threatens the victim's life or family, and they can sometimes influence others to not believe the victim because of who they are and what they do and the facade they put on and all that other stuff. So I feel like it's like the victim goes through the more trauma than what they have already been through. They are looked at like they're the bad ones when, of course, they're not the bad ones. It's just so many things, and it's so frustrating to see this. Like, I'm not saying a case in particular, like, or whatever the case is. I just know that when I see people like, oh, did this really happen? And when someone comes out about being abused or whatever the case is, and you get the question like, oh, well, this person is a nice and they blah blah blah, so many things, and then when the trial comes and they're questioned like by the defense or whatever the case is, and it's like, oh, what was you wearing? Was you drinking? Were you under the influence of alcohol or drugs? Did you do this? Or was you kissing him? Was you kissing her? It's so many. It's like they're badgering the victim. Like, well, if you wasn't wearing that, if you wasn't in that club, being this way or being that way, if you wasn't, it's so many things. And I feel like this is just me. Like, how can anyone defend a sex offender? Like, yes, people, whatever the case is, I don't know. But I just feel like, how can you, I mean, I know it's a job, but it's like, question the victim like they're the bad ones and treat them like they're the bad ones, or bring up their lifestyle or their sexual orientation or stuff that doesn't really matter. What matters is that they have been hurt and wronged, and they're being hurt even more by the things that are being said or how people are treating them and all that stuff. Like, it just came to me, the episode on Law and Order, when the girl was in the industry, the porn industry, and she was raped, and they brought that up about her making videos, and how are they supposed to know that you didn't want it? It was just so crazy. It made me so mad, because even though it's a show, we all know that cases come up just like that case, and people bring up the victim's past, and make them feel like it's their fault, and the victims can become suicidal, even kill themselves, or just turn to, like I said, drugs and alcohol. And so many things that I think should be done differently to reassure the victim that justice is going to be served, and that they don't have to worry about the sex offender or anyone else bringing up things that are not relevant to the case, and to reassure them that they're going to be okay. And it's so frustrating to know that the justice system still doesn't really get it. So I'm going to leave that one alone, because of course I can rant all day about the injustices of sexual abuse, sexual assault, harassment, whatever the case is. So thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe.